Hi, I'm here today to talk to you about how you can build audio lessons and interactivity into your online creative writing class at Stanford. Many of you are on a Mac, I'm told, so the first thing that we're going to do is open up the program GarageBand, which you'll see down here in your dock. You'll open it up. When you do, let's start by creating a new podcast episode. I'm going to call this one Week 1 Lecture. Now you'll see that I'll have a couple of different choices here for tracks that I can use to record once I get into the GarageBand file. I have male voice and female voice. Let's say for the sake of making things easiest that we'll just use the male voice if you're a man and the female voice if you are a woman. This button down here is your record button, and all you need to do is push it once. You'll start recording and you'll see the file start recording here. You can say whatever you need to say. I'm going to stop that, go back, and I'll record over this to say what I really want to say for my Week 1 lesson. This is Seth Harwood welcoming you to Week 1 of my creative writing class. We'll be talking about a number of things today, including how to begin your story. There it is. I stop. I've got about 10 seconds here of audio that I've recorded for my class. Now let's go back and listen. I'm going to move the playhead by touching it with my cursor up here at the top and moving it around in the track to listen. I'll hit the space bar or the play key. We'll be talking about a number of things today, including how to begin your story. And then we can listen back to what I've done. For some of you, you might want to try a little bit of an upgrade in your microphone. For about $15 to $20, you can get yourself a decent USB headphone mic that fits right on your head, plugs into your computer, and you can record with that. Just to let you know how it sounds, I'm going to switch the preferences now in GarageBand. Instead of using the audio input built-in microphone, I'm going to use this headphone that I've been using. I'm changing the audio driver now, and recording again. This is what it sounds like when I've got the upgraded mic in use. For a quick comparison today, including how to begin your story. Recording again, this is what it sounds like when I've got the upgraded mic in use. As you can see, it sounds a lot better. I'll attach some links for where you can get yourself an affordable USB headset mic if you'd like. Otherwise, feel free to keep using the microphone on your MacBook. One thing that I should mention is that you should always be sure to save your work by going to File and Save. I'd like to touch on editing for a minute, although I'm not necessarily arguing that editing is something you need to do for these lectures. I've found that with my students, just recording off the cuff, giving an explanation that lasts about 6 to 10 minutes of a major topic in each lecture has been very effective. One of the ways that we'll show them how to download it allows them to put the lecture actually onto their iPod so they can listen in the car or while they're doing something else, and some students really enjoy this. If you would like to edit your lecture, it's very easy to just move the playhead around and simply record over things that you don't like. Writing class. We'll be talking about a number of things today, including how to begin your story. So if I don't like that part, I'll just go back, move the playhead here, and say the same thing again differently. You might be sure to move the next pieces around a little bit so that you're sure not to record over them. Including how to begin your story. For the most part, though, I'll save the editing for you to play with on your own and for a later training video. The next step for us to talk about is turning your podcast, your lecture in audio, into an MP3 so that you can share it with your students. We'll go to the Share option up here in GarageBand, and we're going to send the song to iTunes. This is the Mac way of turning it into an MP3. As we go through this, you'll have the option of where you want to put it in your iTunes, what you want to call it. I'll put the artist name as myself. And importantly, down here, do we want to compress it? The answer for now is yes. We will compress it, which will turn it into an MP3, the small kind of file that we want to use. We don't want to compress using the AAC encoder here. This is an Apple-only method of compressing that turns it into an MP4, which might be better technically, but some MP3 players don't support that, and if you're not using an iPod, which some people aren't, then it's not as compatible. So change the compress using to MP3 encoder, and then we'll share. Because this is a small file, it'll mix down quickly and convert into an MP3, which will open directly in my iTunes. Now iTunes opens up, and here's my lecture. I can listen to it here.
This is Seth Harwood welcoming you to week 1 of my creative writing class.
But the most important thing that I want to do is share it with my students. Okay, our final step in this process is to take the file that we've created from iTunes and bring it into Blackboard. I'm going to drag the file onto the desktop for ease of use in finding it as we move forward. Now, in Blackboard, this is Blackboard 9 for those of you who haven't seen it yet. We'll be starting to use it this fall, and it's pretty simple and straightforward, just like the old Blackboard, but will take a little bit of getting used to. In the schedule for my course, I've set up week 1, intros and starting your story. I've put a little text here into the introduction, and I'd like to insert the audio that we've created right here into this spot. I'll go to the edit section, scroll down, and now you see I've written the text to let people know the audio is coming. I've added a short audio lecture about this here. I'm going to use this button here that looks a little bit like a speaker. It says Add Audio Content. It's in between the thing for QuickTime and the thing for Flash. Add Audio Content. I'll click on this button. Now, Blackboard will want to help me find that file for the computer. One of the things that I did before was drag it onto the desktop, so I can see it here just by going to Desktop on my folder and choose the file this way. Some of you might not want to clutter up your desktop, and rather than doing that, you can just use this search key up here. I'll search for week 1 lecture, and there's the file. I can choose it either of these two ways. I select the file, and Blackboard knows where to find it. All these other settings I'm going to leave the way that they are, and then I will submit. Now Blackboard has loaded it, and this is what it will look like in my final post. Submit again, and here it is. My audio is plugged into Blackboard in the way that students will be able to see it and listen to it right as they're reading my post. As an added feature though, I like to also add a link to the class audio here where it says attach or link content. The reason for this is because some students might want to download the audio and play it on their iPod or in their car or something else. So, downloadable audio lecture is what I'm going to call this. And this will provide a link that students can right-click on and download the file. I'm going to submit again. And this is what my introduction will now look like. You can see it's got the playable file right here.
This is Seth Harwood welcoming you to week 1.
All of my text around the audio. And it's got this link right here that students can right-click on, and then in Safari go to Save Linked File to Downloads, and it will download right away for them, and they can bring it into their iTunes or whatever they like. There are also similar options on Internet Explorer and Firefox. You'll notice that I've been using Safari to do all of this. Blackboard 9 seems to be working better in Safari. For some of you who are using Firefox, all of this should go exactly the same there. And now we've done it. We've brought our audio into Blackboard so that our students can interact with it. We've created the audio in GarageBand, and we're all set. Another great thing about using audio like this is that you can use it anywhere in Blackboard, not just in your introduction or in your weekly schedules, but also you can use it in the forums, to respond to student work. If someone asks a question that's tough, that you'd rather respond to by speaking, then writing up a long answer. You can do the same thing and insert audio pretty much anywhere in Blackboard that you'd like. Now that you know how, have a great time with it, and I hope that it improves your classes.